Peace and good morning. I am 2 minutes late. Trust me, not because I wanted to. Um, I just really wanted to make this morning right, making sure that all the information and the delivery um, that I want to ensure that is expressed today is in order. And I think it is. I think it's definitely in the order that it should be in. So, again, like always, we'll start in the spirit of gratitude. We start in the spirit of peace. So, if you can see me and I can see you, I say good morning to you. I say good morning to you, and I appreciate you for just for being here, just for being in this space, just for acknowledging that you want to tap into consistency as currency. Like I always say, it's your morning podcast of choice for those who tap in. It's your morning podcast of choice. So, we're going to be talking about altitude. Good morning, Miss Scott. We're talking about altitude. Yesterday we talked about attitude, and today we're talking about altitude. Altitude. Put altitude inside the chat. So as you can see, the question that is proposed right here, have you changed your altitude? Again, yesterday we talked about attitude. Your attitude is a component within the fabrics of your altitude, right? Right. All right. So what we're going to do, I don't want to be on long. I got a lot of stuff to do today, but I definitely want to get on and just touch you in the morning to allow you to give you some tools that you can use throughout the day. It is Wednesday, January the 18th. Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday, January the 18th. And I'm very excited about what we're going to be talking about today, which is change your altitude. I know there was a mistake that was up there that said change your attitude, but we talked about attitude yesterday. And today we're talking about your altitude. So let's go ahead and switch. What I need you to do, again, like always, go ahead and take this live and share it. Put it in the Facebook group, an active Facebook group. Put it in a Facebook group or share it to your timeline to allow others that's in your circle to be blessed and to be touched in the morning or whenever they get on social media by the information that is going to be delivered to you and for them today. Go ahead and share it. Once you share it, go ahead and put the word done, just out of transparency. This checks and balances. This is an interactive platform because I want to give you information and I want to receive information. Like always, you already know the inversion is going to be red over white or white over red. And the inversion is, if I want to say red, pay attention to the red. If I go and say white, pay attention to the words that are in white. You got it. I'm sure you have. Some of y'all, it's not your first time. It's not your first go around. And I pray it won't be your last. So let's go ahead and go. Again, whatever resonates with you, go ahead and drop it inside the chat because this is just how we build. This is what we do here on this platform. All right, the very first definition, as you see, of altitude is the height of an object or point in relation to sea level or ground level. And what I want you to pay attention to on this one, again, make sure you share it. What I want you to pay attention to on this one is the inversion of red over white, which is the height of a point or level. A height of a point or level. So when I see this, a height of a point or level, it's like where are you at right now doesn't have to be where you end up. Because your altitude is your constant elevation. Because your constant elevation is always that thing or that goal that you're striving for. Good morning, Mr. Loctician himself, Mr. Jesse Webb. That constant elevation that you're striving for, that's not being stagnant or not saying that I'm okay with being where I'm at, but I still have goals. You can't say you're okay with where you are and you still have goals. That means you still have other levels and you still have other altitudes that you have to ascend to. not descend to, but ascend to. So there is effort that has to go in to the direction that you're going in order for you to accomplish and in order for you to get there. The height of a point or level that is taking that as the initiative that you have for yourself and getting you to that point, getting you to that particular altitude. And the next definition that I want you to pay attention to is the vertical elevation, right? The vertical elevation of a object above a surface such as sea level or land or a planet or natural satellite. So the inversion that we're going to be talking about on this one is white over red. It goes kind of like what we just got finished communicating about, that constant elevation. So the inversion that I want you to pay attention to is white over red, that vertical elevation above a surface. Again, remember, because you've made it to where you are, that does not mean that is the only place that you're going to be. That is not your end all be all. That is a level that you are at. But in order for you to ascend, there must be a vertical elevation from the starting point to where you are right now. You want to go and develop something new? You must be surfaced to where you are, grounded and rooted. But in order for you to get to where you're going, there must be a vertical elevation and a vertical integration that is going to get you to that point of that new altitude. Because it says surface. That means that there is something that's grounded with you. Like, I know I wanted to start this business and I started this business. It's grounded. You got your documentation. You registered it. It's grounded. You have your website. It's grounded. You have your social media. It's grounded. You have your contracts. It's grounded. You have your invoices. It's grounded. So now, in order for you to vertically elevate from that surface, you have to begin to do more than what you have already done in order for you to ascend to a different level. Like, you may have to go and do marketing. From the groundwork, you're doing marketing, which is going to vertically elevate you above the surface. Remember, the surface is your starting point. The surface is your foundation. The surface is the conversations that you're having with yourself. The surface is the locations that you find yourself in. But in order for you to be above the surface, the vertical elevation may be reading a book. It may be finishing the book that you said that you were already going to do. So the surface for that book is your outline. It's your structure. So in order for you to have that vertical elevation above that structured outline of that book, you're going to have to complete the sentences that completes the paragraph, that completes the pages, that completes the chapters. Because the surface already had your level of commitment. But in order to you to develop that vertical elevation, you had to have that starting point. So if you started something last year and you had the information down and you already had everything all drawn up, maybe it's time for you to change your altitude by elevating from the surface that you've already started. And stop waiting for other people to compliment your services. What if you complimented yourself because you started it? Right? The greatest compliment to your success is doing it again, is repeating that process, allowing it to become a habit for you, allowing it to become a repetition for you. Because now that you know that you've done it before, you can repeat that process and you can do it again. Now the vertical elevation, it goes and it surpasses everything that you've ever done before. And it's a good thing because you've learned how to do it again. You've learned how to be successful. Just like you've learned what pain feels like, you can learn what pain don't have to continue to feel like. Vertically elevating from that surface of hurt. And the next definition that I want you to pay attention to, it says the vertical height of an object above chosen level. A vertical height of an object above some chosen level. Peace. Good morning, Miss Anderson. I'm sure you already know what's the inversion on this. It's too easy. Like, what do you feel the inversion is? Is it red over white or white over red? And if you say it's red over white, put down how you see that. And if you see it as white over red, which is interesting, put how you see that. Because I think if you see the white over red, I'm very interested in learning why you see that. Like I can see how that can be translated, because for me it's red over white. Right? The vertical height of an object above chosen level. Red over white is the vertical height above chosen level. Like you chose to be where you are now. It is time for you to ascend to a new altitude. So, in order for you to ascend from a new altitude, you have to come from a chosen level. Like I've chosen to be where I am in this position. If I'm going to grow from where I am, I must ascend past my chosen level. I must get past where I am in order for me to go to where I'm going. And I've made that choice to go there. So, therefore, I've made the choice from a chosen level to reach that particular position, to reach that particular altitude. And now what? You have to change it. Changing your altitude. So let's go into this deep dive. Like yesterday, we talked about attitude. And your attitude can be one or two things for you, for your altitude. It can be one or two things. Your attitude can be helpful or hurtful to your altitude. Right? Can you see that? Your attitude can be helpful or hurtful to your altitude. Because your attitude about it can just change so much about it. So much about where you're going, because it's how you think. And it's how you're doing things. Because your attitude about you can either make your wings strong enough to fly, or it can clip your wings and you'll never be able to take off just because of your attitude. Have you ever seen someone and they be like, man, that person has so much potential, but their attitude is stank? Like that just speaks for itself, to say your attitude can either make your wings strong enough for you to take off, or it will clip your wings and you will never take off. You will never fly. Who told you that you can't soar? Like, what limitation have you placed on your life that prevents you from manifesting? Like, say, my attitude can be the catapult to my altitude. My attitude can be the catapult to my altitude. Because we have to begin to change our disposition on soaring. Because that is going from a vertical elevation from the surface, like from where you are. In order for you to get to where you're going, you must acknowledge where you are right now. You must acknowledge that the chosen level that you're on presently is just the beginning and a catapult that's going to get you to the destination that you strive to get to. In order for you to do that, you're going to have to begin to change your perception about you and change your attitude about how you see yourself. When you're doing that, there has to be an appetite change for soaring and learning, because how you fly is really going to begin the process of expanding that wingspan in order for you to get to that aptitude and that knowledge base to extend yourself past the personal level that you're on right now. Like you got to be hungry for knowledge. You have to be hungry to be healed. Like you really do. You can't say, oh, I want to heal and get past this, but you're starving. You have to want it more than what you've had before. Because remember, there is a chosen level and there is a surface. But in order for you to ascend past that surface, you have to change the way that you feed yourself. Like, what information are you feeding yourself? Like, what information are you watching? What books are you reading? What conversations are you having? Who are you having these conversations with? Because sometime you're going to have to do and be your own mentor and to tell yourself that you got it. Because don't you know that your inner convictions alter your level of your altitude? Because, like I always say, without conviction, there would be no correction. So, your inner convictions will alter your altitude. But we must also develop a mental conditioning that permits us to fly without fault and to push us past and push us through the failures. Yes, there are things that happen, but do you have to take that thing that happened and allow it to push you so deep down into a tailspin that you don't have the ability to get up? Yes, you fail, but now what? Yes, it hurt, but now what? It's going to happen, but you also have the ability to make it happen. It is a process of thought, it is a mental conditioning. But a lot of that is really like what type of company that you keep. Like, who do you surround yourself with? Because you're going to need to keep the right company of eagles that is willing to teach you how to soar and stop hanging around them ducks and those ducks that cluck and those cackling hens, because you're going to have to be able to clear your runway before you're able to take off. At the same way, you're going to have to clear your runway before you're able to land. You get to levels and change your altitude, but your mental capacity is not preparing you to land. You ever had that space or been around people like when they're at that highest level and they're successful and they're real happy, but then if they hit a low level, it just feels like that person is just at at a level to where everything is crushed around them. But if you got to that level and you change your altitude, that same level of consciousness that you had to have to reach that particular level is that same level of consciousness that's going to get you back up when you hit that low. That's when you're telling yourself, man, you got this. Let's go. Like I've seen this before, but I think I can get back up. Let me dust myself off. I think I can matter of fact, I know I can get back up. But some of us have cluttered runways and we're wondering why we haven't taken off yet. Asking ourselves, like, I've tried everything and I still haven't taken off yet. Well, maybe you need to unclutter your runway, because your runway is like your mental aptitude and your attitude towards you. Like, can you tell you that you willing to fly too? Because you can. Did you know I learned something like this morning that eagles don't flock? Like they don't. Like you'll see a bunch of ducks flocking, a bunch of pigeons sitting together flocking, but eagles don't flock. Eagles soar. When you see an eagle is what? The eagle is by itself. But the eagle was once in a nest. That was the surface. That was the ground that it was on. It was once in a nest, but it had to know, if I'm ever going to fly and soar, I must come out of this state, because the nest Where the eagle is the comfort zone. But if I have to get out of my comfort zone in order for me to soar, maybe you need to crack yourself out of that shell to prepare yourself to get to the level that you know that you can get to, and get out of that group or that setting that you in that's not beneficial to you. You don't have to be around a group of people in order for you to strive and seek success. The level of success that you seek starts with you anyway. But also, one thing that I learned, that when the eagle's soaring and it's at a high level, it can only be reached by other eagles. That level can only be reached by other eagles. You're not going to see an eagle flying at a high level and you're seeing ducks at that same level. You're seeing pigeons and quails and chickens and stuff like that at that same level. So you're going to have to soar. You're going to have to soar past altitudes that will begin to change your environment. And stop thinking that you need everybody's approval to fly, and prepare yourself to take flight. Because you got this. You got this. You have the ability to fly just like everybody else. But are you willing to fly is the real question. Are you willing to ascend is the real question. Are you willing to change your attitude that's going to catapult you to change your altitude? It is a process. Is it a process that you have to be willing to do to get there? And just like the question that was asked yesterday, what does your attitude say about you once you leave the room? Like, what does your attitude say about you when you're no longer in the room? And is your attitude actually getting you to your altitude? Monitor what you're reading, monitor where you go, monitor what you say, monitor who you surround yourself with. Because if that is what your altitude looks like, that same individual with the attitude that's talking bad about everybody else, you're going to keep talking bad about everybody else. And now you're going to be that bad conversation that person is talking about. But what do your attitudes say about you when you're no longer in the room? All right, that's enough. And I appreciate you for being here. It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. Enjoy your Wednesday. Text somebody that you haven't communicated with in a while. Let them know you're thinking about them, because you never know. You might be the text that would allow them to be okay with the rest of the day. Because today's Wednesday, they might have not heard from anybody all week, but that one text that you sent them could be the difference between them living today and no longer being here tomorrow. Y'all be blessed. Peace.